In this lesson, we will study about the different ways we can set a few properties for the input arguments of user-defined functions. These include setting the input argument by name, also known as named arguments or keyword arguments, making an input argument positional only or named only, setting a default value of input argument, variable length input arguments, and keyword arguments. Many times we see such features while viewing the help on some function. For example, let's import the square root function from the math module and let's see the help on this function. It's a very simple function and we see the help description as returns the square root of x. But here on the signature we see a / after the input argument x. The function has only one input argument which is x, and the / sets a property of that argument which is the positional only that we will see in a while. So let's start the discussion on different properties of input arguments. I will copy a piece of code. Here we have a simple function that will display the multiplication table. There are two input arguments, one for the table we want to print and other for the last limit till we want that table to be printed. And that usually is 10, but we want to set that by ourselves. Here we have used the for loop that prints the table. As an example, we are applying the function with table as 8 and the limit as 10. And here we have the multiplication table of 8. This 8 is provided as first input argument, and in the function definition we have the first input argument name as table. And hence the input argument table will get the value 8. And likewise the 10 is provided as second input argument, and in function definition the second input argument is limit and that will get the value 10. So when we call the function input argument get the values in the order in which they are provided in the signature. We can also call it as the arguments are provided by the position. There is also a way we can provide the input arguments by their names. For that we can write the name of the input argument, then equal sign, and then the value we want to assign to that argument. We have the same result. We call this way as setting the input argument by name, or we can call it as named arguments. These are also known as keyword arguments, but the same term is used for another purpose which we will see at the end of this lesson. So I will call this as named arguments. When we provide the input arguments by name, we don't need to worry about the order or the position. Now I can set the second argument before the first argument. There is also a possibility that we provide few arguments by position and few by name. The arguments by position will be the starting arguments, followed by the keyword arguments or the named arguments. If I will try something like this, although the argument table is the first argument, but we cannot have the positional argument after the named argument. We can see we get the syntax error here that the positional argument is followed by the keyword argument. Now I will make both arguments positional here. This is totally fine now. The next thing we will see is the possibility of the optional input argument or the arguments with the default value. Recall that we use the optional input arguments various times. For example, in the print statement, if we print two strings using the comma operator between the two strings will be printed with a space in between those. But if we want to have some separator other than space, for example tab or new line or suppose colon, then we can specify that using the input argument sep and setting its value. What does this mean? It means that the input argument sep is optional and the default value is set to space. So if we don't provide that, it will be a space, and otherwise it will be the value we specify by our own. Similarly, when we sort a list using the sorted function, it is sorted in the ascending order. But if we want to sort the list in reverse order, we have to set another argument reversed equal to true, and list will be sorted in reverse order. So again it means the input argument reversed is optional input argument having the default value as false, and when not provided it will sort the list in the ascending order. But when we provide that as true, it will sort the list in reverse order. Let's see how we can implement this in our created function. For the multiplication table, usually we have the limit of the table as 10. So it will be good if I set the default value of the parameter limit as 10. And that can simply be done by setting the input argument equal to 10 while defining the function. So now while using the function, if I want to have the limit of the table till 12, I can provide that and limit will be 12 now. And if I want to have the limit till 10, which is the default value set on the function definition, then I don't need to provide that and it will have the value 10. Now I will copy a code from another file. This is again a function to display the multiplication table. The first input argument is table, second is limit with the default value 10, and third is reverse with default value as false, and when it will be true we would like to print the table in reverse order. These are two conditions on reverse being true or false, and accordingly we are setting the values of start, stop and step variable for forward or reverse direction table. And then we have for loop to print the table. Now let's just pass one value which will be for first input argument table and the other two arguments will have the default value. You can see the table of weight in forward direction and the limit is till 10. Now if I pass the second input argument as 4, that will be for the input argument limit. You can see that in IntelliSense help as well. Now we will have limit till 4 and direction is forward direction. Now if I provide the input argument reverse as true, now the table should be displayed in the reverse order. Now if I don't want to provide the limit argument and want to use the default value provided in the function, I can remove that from here. But now interpreter will consider this true as the second input argument, which is the limit, so we must specify this argument by name. You can see the limit is 10 and it is printed in reverse order. Now I am providing all arguments by name and their order does not matter here. Now let's see the next property we can set for the input argument. For that I am removing this default value of the limit argument to focus on the thing we will be discussing now. We have two input arguments now and we can pass those by position or by name, also known as keyword argument. But now I am writing this forward slash apparently as another input argument, but this is not an input argument. The function still has two input arguments, table and limit. The forward slash means all input arguments before the forward slash must be provided as positional arguments and cannot be provided by name or keyword. We call those as positional only arguments. So if I run the code now, which ran successfully previously, but this time we see the error because now we cannot pass the input argument table by name. Read the error statement and it explains everything. So I should provide the first input argument as positional argument. There is no condition on the arguments after the forward slash. Those can be provided as positional argument or as named arguments. And this is what exactly was meant with the slash with square root function of the math module. We know the input argument name is x for this function, but we cannot provide that by its name. This must be provided as positional argument. There is no restriction on the input arguments after the forward slash. We can provide those by their names or as positional arguments. Also note that the arguments can still have the default value. Now again I have the code with three input arguments. Let's place the forward slash here, meaning the first input argument is positional only and the other two can be positional or keyword arguments. So while using it, the first argument must be provided as positional and other two can be by name. The next thing I will show here is that like the forward slash, we can have asterisk apparently as one input argument, but it is not the input argument, and it means is that the arguments after this asterisk sign are the arguments which must be provided by name. They cannot be provided by the position. So they are keyword only arguments. So at this stage the function has 3 input arguments. This first is positional only and the last 2 are keyword only. The use of the function as shown here ran successfully previously when we did not provide the asterisk in input arguments. But now it should generate error because now we cannot provide the arguments limit and reverse as positional arguments. You can read the error which says clearly that function takes only one positional argument and we gave 3. Now let me change those 2 keyword arguments. And we get the result. The concept of default values of the input arguments is independent of the concept of positional only or the keyword only arguments. Now if I change the position of the asterisk sign, I hope you can easily guess what it means now. The first argument table is positional only, the last argument reverse is keyword only, and the second argument limit can be positional or keyword. There is no condition on that. So here limit is provided as keyword, so there should not be any issue. And if I make it as positional, still there should not be any issue. Anyways, just to finalize this function, what I will prefer is that I will set the default values of limit and reverse, because in most of the cases the limit for the multiplication table is 10 and it is printed in forward direction. And I will keep the positional only and keyword only arguments as same, because I would like to pass the argument table as position, limit can be positional or keyword and has a default value, and reverse must be keyword only, exactly as we have in case of sorted function, also with the default value as false. Now I can just pass 8 as table value. I can specify the limit, for example 4, and if I need the table in reverse order, I must pass that parameter by name. One more thing I will show here is the doc string for some function. In the first line of the body of any function, we can write the description of the function as a string. So if we apply the help function on our created function, you can see the signature of the function and then is the description of the function which we specified as the doc string. Instead of single line string, we can have multiple lines using the 3 single or 3 double quotation marks. We can actually describe what each parameter means here. I will leave that for now. There is a standard way of writing the doc string and the link for that is available in the description. Now we will move to the next possibility where we can have variable length of input arguments. For that you must be familiar with packing and unpacking of elements. I am defining a list here with 3 elements. I can assign the 3 values to 3 variables like this. This is known as unpacking of the list elements. The elements are unpacked and assigned to 3 variables. If I have more elements in the list and I am trying to unpack the list to 3 variables, it will generate the error. But if I place one asterisk with any variable, for example z, then first and second elements will be unpacked to x and y, and remaining all elements will be assigned to z as a list. If we have asterisk with the variable y, now first element will be unpacked to x, last to z, and the middle elements will be unpacked and assigned to y as a list. This is also true if we have tuple instead of a list. Now I am defining a tuple here. We can place the parentheses around the values to indicate as a tuple, or even if we don't place those, still it is a tuple. You can see it is printed as a tuple. Now if I put an asterisk with the tuple A, the values inside the tuple will be unpacked. See here, these are the individual values and not a tuple. Let me just put the parentheses here for more clarity. So this asterisk A will unpack the tuple A. The same will be the case if A is a list instead of a tuple. Now here I have a function with 3 input arguments and it is returning the sum of squares of 3 values. Of course, I can use this by providing the values of 3 input arguments. What if I have the 3 values inside a list and I want to apply the function on those 3 values? One way can be accessing the 3 values of the list using the indices. But a much better approach will be unpacking the list that will give 3 values inside the list. But of course, if I have 4 values in the list, this will generate error since function takes only 3 arguments. If there are 2 values in the list, asterisk A will give the 2 values and I can provide some third value manually here. On the other hand, if I have this kind of a function, which takes in a list as input argument and returns the sum of the square of the numbers inside the list using the for loop, now of course I can have the list of any size and I can pass that list directly to the function. Instead of a list, I could have a tuple as well because the logic we have written inside the function is applicable on tuple as well. The function has one input argument and we are providing that as a list or a tuple. But if I will try to pass multiple values directly to the function instead of list or a tuple, you can easily guess that it will generate error. So I will have to make it as a list here. But a better solution is that I will keep these as separate values and I will make the input argument of the function as of variable length argument. First, let me change the name to simple A. And then if I place an asterisk before the variable name, that will become a variable length argument. So now we can pass as many arguments as we wish, and because of the asterisk, all those will get packed and form a tuple inside the function. So A is a tuple inside the function. All these values we are providing here will be inside the tuple A. You see, we get the answer now. Now we can pass as many number of arguments as we want. Let me also print the type of the input argument A. You can see it is a tuple. Now in the main program, if I have a list, and if I want to apply the function on the numbers in that list, it will generate an error because we are providing just one input argument and hence the tuple inside the function will have one value as a list. And the operation we are providing on the tuple is not valid for a list as a tuple element. But we saw earlier that we can unpack a list or a tuple using the asterisk operator. So if I use asterisk with list A here while calling the function, the list elements will get unpacked. So basically we are calling the function on 4 input arguments. And because of this asterisk with the function input argument, those will get packed to form a tuple. So you can see the advantage here. We can provide as many arguments as we want and we can also provide one list or tuple by unpacking that. Note that a function can have only one variable length input argument. Before I move to some practical use of the variable length input argument, let me show you that we can have simple arguments and variable length arguments both in one function. I will simply print the input arguments inside the function. So here the first value will be passed as input argument A and second as B, and remaining all arguments will be passed to input argument C as a tuple. You can see that here. This none is there because function is not returning anything and we are printing the output of the function. Now let's say we have to implement this function. On this part we can have series of x, x1 to xn, which are being summed up, and then we are dividing the sum with a and adding b into the result. Now to implement this function, we need to have the variable a and b and then a variable length variable for x. X will be a tuple inside the function and we should sum the squares of its values. Now I will divide the sum by a and will add b. Now for these values of the function variables, I should use the function like this. If there is one more x, I can simply add that here. Now let's see if we can pass the single valued arguments by the name. We get error here. But here I should change the order of the input arguments. And now we have the output. Even though we get the output by this, but it is not a good approach. If we have variable length input argument, that should be after the single valued arguments. That's what is followed by the community, and that's what we should follow. Anyways, let's see one very useful case where we should use the variable length input argument. Here we have a function to calculate GCD, which is greatest common divisor for the two input arguments x and y. We also call it as highest common factor. The logic is that we will take the minimum of the two inputs, then we have the for loop from 1 to that minimum number, and we are checking if the loop variable is a factor of both inputs x and y. Hence we will get the highest factor from the loop and we are returning that. Let's apply this on 20 and 25 and the result should be 5. But what if I have to find the GCD of 3 or more numbers? I will have to use this function multiple times, but a better solution is to have one variable length input argument. So x is a tuple inside the function, and while using the function we can provide as many input arguments as we want. I can apply the min function directly on the tuple x. The for loop is from 1 to the minimum number, and I should check if the loop variable is a factor of all numbers inside the tuple x, and that can be done with inner for loop. If outer loop variable I is not factor of any of the number inside the tuple x, that cannot be GCD, so we should terminate the inner for loop. This else is linked with the inner for loop and will be active when the break statement is not executed. Means loop variable I is factor of all numbers inside the tuple x, so we can assign that to answer variable. We're getting the same result for 20 and 25. And now we can pass as many numbers as we wish. And we're getting the correct results. That was all about variable length input arguments, and now we will see the last part of the lesson, which is keyword arguments, also known as keywords. This is different from passing the arguments by name. These are specified with double asterisk with the input argument name. These are related to dictionary, so let's first see a couple of things of dictionary. Here I am defining the two sample dictionaries. I can merge the two dictionaries using the pipe operator. But there is another way as well. Here I am creating a dictionary using the curly braces, and inside that I will unpack the dictionary D1 and D2. To unpack a dictionary, we use the double asterisk. You can see we get the bigger merged dictionary. Now also see that we have another way to create a dictionary. And that is by using the dict constructor and providing the keys and values using the equal symbol. See the difference between the two ways of defining the dictionary. Now let's see what is keywords or keyword arguments. In this function I have two simple single value input arguments, then a variable length argument, and then a keyword argument which is also a variable length argument. Inside the function I'm just printing the input arguments. Let's apply the function. The first two will be the single value arguments, then these will get packed to a tuple, and for the keyword arguments, we can pass variable length keywords like this. If we run that, you can see single valued arguments, then the variable length arguments as a tuple, and then the keyword arguments are there as a dictionary. Regarding the order of the different types of input arguments, if I move the variable length argument ahead of the single valued argument as we saw earlier, we have error here because now we should specify the single value arguments by their names, which also have the same term as keyword arguments. We get the result, but again I will emphasize to use the standard followed by the community for better readability. And that is, we should have single valued arguments first, then the variable length argument, and finally the keyword arguments. The keyword arguments will be a dictionary inside the function. If we have some optional input arguments, those should be between variable length arguments args and keyword arguments kwargs. So here these two will be arg1 and 2, and this args will be these numbers. If we are not providing this optional argument, it will be true. We can provide different value to optional input argument as well. Now let's see some use of kwargs. I have a dictionary here with the name products, and it has name of dry fruits as keys and values as per kg price of that. I want to create a function priceless with two input arguments. First will be the price and second will be the keyword arguments with keys as product names and values as per kg price. The task of the function is to return a list of all product names whose per kg price is less than the price provided as first input argument. We know this argument dry will be a dictionary inside the function, so we can use the list comprehension and iterate over all dictionary items. I will pick the keys of the dictionary, but only those whose values are less than the input argument p. Here instead of this dictionary, I will apply this function by providing the keywords manually. 1200 is the value of the input argument p, and now I am providing the keyword arguments. Note that the keywords are like identifiers and not the strings. Let's make the first argument as 1600 so that walnuts have price less than that. And we get that. Now if I want to apply the dictionary as keyword arguments, I can pass that, but I will have to unpack the dictionary items to key value pairs or keyword arguments, and that can be done using the double asterisk. This is exactly what asterisk does for the list or tuple. We get the result. If we always want to use a dictionary for this function, then a better solution can be using dictionary directly here and also as the input argument of the function. But if I have keyword arguments and dictionary is unpacked, we can also have some more keyword arguments other than those present inside the dictionary. So all key value pairs of the dictionary become the keyword arguments, and it also has one more keyword argument. So that's all from this lesson. Thanks for watching.